Hey guys, my name is Nogan and welcome to my Java series. So in today's video, we are going to be focusing on writing functions or methods in Java right now, what they call the get and set methods. So those functions will be defined by the initializations of the variables, which we'll see in a moment. But before we continue, if you haven't watched the previous video, we will focus on the scanner class eventually as a means of input and output for the user. And check it out, or you can go on top there. It is a format video now. It's gonna build up in terms of like how you can write programs in Java using its library of packages and stuff for its use cases. Let's jump to the IDE NetBeans right now. I'll just make a new project again here. I'll just make it. Let me just call it employee. Okay. Say my employee. Okay. Awesome. So we have now eventually a program here. Okay, so we have a Java file called my employee. Just to be much more practical, I'm gonna just rename this Java file into a test employee, just to make it much, because the main function or the main class eventually you have in your Java programs is normally called a test program or a test Java class, which means it's testing all the other classes that you have or other Java files you have in your program as a means of runtime executable, because now it's just testing all those files you have eventually. So if you right click here, let's go to refactor, then I'm going to go to rename, test employee. Okay, also, which means this public class now has been changed to test employee. Okay, let me just move this comments there and just move all these ones here. Okay, so before we start here, I'm going to include another file here. It's going to be now a employee file. I'm going to come to this folder here, my employee. Click there, right click on it, and just go to new. Go to Java class. I'm going to name this class employee, because now this will be the class file that contains only employee related information. Awesome. So I have another Java file here, which means the one is for test employee, the other is for employee only, which means this employee will contain only, like I mentioned, information about like employee, which means in here I'm going to just declare a few variables. There will be private variables. Private means they will only be visible in this class scope of public class employee. So I'll use a private keyword, private. I'm going to say int, the type of it is going to be employee num, which is employee num. Private again. Come on. Okay, it's going to be now type string. Now each employee needs to have a name, so it's going to be employee last name first. Private again. String employee emp will be for first name. Private again. Now I'll include a double private variable for the employee salary, because each employee has a salary, of course, because it's working for a certain company. Now after that, I'll include now here the following, because as you can see from this variables being defined on top here. Private, of course, like I mentioned, just make sure that these variables are just being only visible in this class scope here, which means only this class of employee has the authority or now the restriction by saying now these private members eventually here methods members eventually are being defined only in this class scope of employee. Define mean now they can be used only in this class scope of employee only. Now after this, like I mentioned, we're going to use something called the get and set method. The get, you have to get something as a function, it's a method, and the set now is have to be the same of those functions. Now in a moment out here, I'll include a few of those for these private members here. Now when including a private or public or private get or private set method for those members, you have to include the public keyword again. Public, it will be int. Then very important here, because you want to include now the get and set method, you use the keyword get. After get, you include now the name of that variable. Now here it will be employee emp again, num, using the body. But now this function is a return type, which means it is using the return keyword. And in terms of by default setting here, we just need to return now employee num, as you can see here. Awesome. So this function here, or this method here, eventually now this is a public, of course. It's an integer type, because now the private int num employee num here is a type of integer, which means this also needs to type int, because this is return now an integer variable, as you can see here. But what's interesting now is the following: the function name. The function name here is get employee num. Why? Because now you have to get in the number of the employee. Eventually you have to get it, which means that's why it's called the get and set methods. After this get, there must be a define set. Now it will be also the use of the public. Then we use now the interesting thing, void set employee num. Now the interesting part of this thing, this function of void, is set this out, which means take now again a variable in its argument in parentheses, because now what has happened right now here, the public void set function is taking now, of course, an input. It sets something eventually, because now to be a certain something, because remember it's taking something as an argument of type int, as you'll see now in this parentheses, because now this is now the function that takes something, some parameters, as you can see here. But in the body of this function, because now it's a type void function, it doesn't return any type. But what you can do, you can set now that value of this int employee here number as a means of argument. I can just name this, let's say number like this fully, it can still work. So if it's like this, then you can say now, okay, I want to set this now to a certain argument. So I'll say in here employee num will be set now equal to employee number fully. What is happening by definition, which means this now here, we're storing now the value of integer employee number in this employee num here, because why? Here now this function will just get and return that, which means this will return eventually by definition this variable of type integer being set now by this and stored now in this, from using now this equal sign here as a means of using as it's called now an assignment operator, of course, but now we're using it to eventually now store the value of this employee number in here. Awesome. Now the following is important, which means that the next private methods also have a argument of a get and set method also here. So the following is important. I'll include again public. It will be now type string, because now there I'm going to say get last name. Return again now a string, because remember it takes in a string argument. So to return now awesome. After this also public void set name, taking a string variable argument also in the employee, just say last name. Awesome. So after we having this, which means it's much more easy, which means after having this which means you can just say now here again, basically based on the same thing that happens here, by saying, because now you're returning this, you just copy this, paste it here, just speed up the process, just say last name. Awesome. So again, public again, because now we have a string again again, but now for this it will be for, we're going to say again here, let's just come here, it will be now a get employee first name function. It returns now a string type of employee. First name, awesome. We see also for public void set employee first name. Okay, so which means it's taking also a string, say first name, just to simplify things a little bit. Okay, let's say again here, just copy this, paste, first name, awesome. Okay, let's do it for the last function. We can test this. Be public again. To be, because now very important, whenever you're writing this, you have to make sure that now you know that the type of the variable. For example, is double here, which means here has to be double. Awesome. You're going to say again after this get employee salary return now employee salary. Awesome. Public again. Now after here, what you can do, you can use now eventually the by saying public again void. After void, then you can use eventually the set employee salary. But if of course you take an argument, which means you need to take a double variable argument, then you're going to say here, okay, I'm going to set now the employee salary to salary. Awesome. So normally also you can use here something called the this keyword. The this keyword also is also used case. For example here, because now here you just say this keyword, then it just normally is gonna be focusing on trying to make sure that now this is also being used by saying because this keyword also makes it much more easy, because this can also be used with this arguments, for example like this, because why you make sure that now this this variable of course here is now the right one to be justified in the set function, because why this just make sure that this keyword is initialized properly and will be stored in the same keyword being declared on top here, as you can see like this. Also works properly, because now this also works because why right now you're just making sure now you are manually trying to justify by saying this variable employee num here needs to store a value of integer by taking an argument of now this employee number here, storing it in there as a means of an argument. Awesome. So guys, we have all the get set methods now of this function of this class of employee. After this now, what is important is the following. I'm seeing some errors here. Let's just clean them and build this for now. Okay, so no more errors and stuff. Now let's go to the test program or the test class in here. Now in here we have to test the following to see if of course it's working properly. So I'm gonna include, like, just make now here a object of employee. I'm calling it clerk new employee, which is now of course eventually a constructor. Another one also again, employee driver. These are not employees that are working for the company. Also include a constructor. Awesome. Now we have two this is now eventually a object of employee, because now remember this is a class. Now the class scope, now this is now a user-defined data type of employee. Now the object of this class is called clerk, and also now it's called driver. But of course in terms of in Java you have to use a new keyword to justify by using constructor, because now this also in a way is now declaring memory on the heap, which means this memory now will be dynamic of course in Java. It also can be static of course, but in terms of like the the approach of how you define or how you declare objects in Java. This is uh, not always but normally declared on a heap, because this memory can now be used dynamically. Now I'm going to use the object clerk. Let's say clerk again. It's a nice name, clerk. The name, of course, is like a job description. Clerk. Then here I'm going to use now all those functions. When using functions that have been defined now in another class, the dot operator gives you now all those functions that have been declared now in this employee class here. This employee class, all these get and set methods now can be used in this test program here, because now when you're saying dot, which means dot operator access all those functions being defined in there to be used in this test program. That's why you can go here and just look at any function I use. Now, when I first now try to use the set methods, I'm going to just first now set the following. I'll set now employee number 345. Say 345 here. 345. What am I doing? 345. Okay. Drive also. Set the number 567. And system without, because now I want to just see now eventually the information about those. I'll say now the clerk employee number is, then I'm going to say here again, here very important, clerk again dot. Now you want to get this, which means I'm going to use the get function to get now the number for the clerk, as you can see here. So I don't want to make it too long also, then I can see also here systematically, because if I write everything in one line it will be too long. Use the print again. Say again here. Now the driver employee number is, okay, drive again dot to get all those functions, get number function. Awesome. So what is important is the following here. We first eventually now try to use the set to set now eventually now a value basically from this employee class here, because now in here we're setting a value now here by saying we're going to set a value now to be stored in here. That's why fundamentally when you say now here clerk.get, I'm going to get the value. After I set it here now, I have to get the value now to be printed. If I just run this right now, as you'll see, we have a nice output here. The clerk's employee number is 345. The driver's employee number is 567, as you can see. Awesome. You can also use the other ones. For example, you can just say here clerk again, because we have the same object dot. Let me just say set first name. The first name, let's just say it will be, let's give him a name. His name will be William. The driver's name, just make it much more interesting. Let's just say the driver name will be Donald, like Donald Trump. Awesome. So basically the same also applies also here. So I'm gonna just highlight this, copy this too, paste it here, and just change now here the clerks clerks first name. Dot again, but now we get again now eventually the name, which means we set the name and we get the name. So get the first name. Okay. Also here, just make it much more like this. The drivers. driver's first name. Dot again, let's say first name. Awesome. We just make it much more nice, include another line here. Just system out, and again. Awesome. So when we have this and divide this, okay. So what is important is that we using this get and set methods now for each of the objects being defined, of course, here, because why it's very important for us to use those in terms of the use cases. As you can see now, this test employee only tests now those functions being defined in this employee class here are the use case. But now before you can test them, you must first use now the private members as a means of an argument, saying now this private members will have functions to do, which means employee will have now get and set methods, as you can see this two here, to be used of course now in argument in the test program here, or the test class here. As you can see of employee, going to be having a clerk and driver being defined using now the employee number, employee first name and stuff. So if we run this just to justify our argument here, we're having the clerk's first name is William, the driver's first name is Donald. As you can see, it's on point here. So the program works on point eventually. So this is just like how we're using out the get and set methods now as valid functions being defined here. So right now you have two classes being defined. You can have like a lot of classes being used here, a lot of classes. But as you can see here, this employee Java file contains all your functionalities, as you can see, because they've been given to you now here in this navigation window here to make it much more easy to see how many of them you have in your class scope. Awesome. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, don't forget to comment down below. If you're new, subscribe to the channel, and also thank you for watching.